Are you ready?
Number 7. Chemical experiments with liquid fluorine, the most toxic and violently reactive substance. Did you know there's a chemical element nicknamed the nightmare of the laboratory? That's fluorine. In gas form, it's already dangerous, but when cooled into liquid fluorine, it becomes far more terrifying. This oxidizer reacts violently with almost everything: metals, glass, even water. Just a single drop in the wrong place can trigger an explosion and release deadly toxic fumes. Chemists have reported that if you open the wrong valve, fluorine can eat through steel pipes and burst into strange green flames. Despite the extreme danger, liquid fluorine has been studied as a potential rocket fuel with enormous thrust. But nearly every project was abandoned because the risk was simply too great. For many scientists, working with fluorine feels like handling a monster waiting to blow up at any second. Number 6. The Frankenstein antibiotic experiments, creating superbugs in the lab. Did you know humans once deliberately created monsters that no medicine could kill? In several experiments, scientists repeatedly exposed bacteria to low doses of antibiotics to see how they mutated and developed resistance. The result? Superbugs that no conventional antibiotics could stop began to appear in the lab. Some strains even accidentally escaped, fueling today's global antibiotic resistance crisis. The World Health Organization warns that if resistant bacteria spread widely, we could return to an era when a small cut or a common cold might be deadly. In other words, these Frankenstein experiments revealed how science, if left unchecked, could plant the seeds of a global pandemic worse than any nuclear bomb. If you thought that was reckless, wait until you hear this one. Number 5. Polywell fusion. Dream of clean energy, fear of chain reactions. Did you know there was once an idea to generate nuclear energy inside an electric cage? That's the principle of polywell fusion. Developed in the 1980s by physicist Robert Bussard, polywell didn't rely on giant magnets like the tokamak reactor. Instead, it placed electric coils in a spherical shape, forming an electromagnetic grid. Hydrogen ions were shot in, colliding at extreme speeds to trigger nuclear fusion, the same process that powers the sun. On paper, it looked perfect. Compact size, far cheaper than traditional nuclear reactors. But the fear was clear. If the electromagnetic field failed to hold in, the super-hot plasma inside could strike out of control, damaging the device or even setting off an unstoppable chain reaction. At one point, critics worried a failed polywell test might unleash a massive neutron burst, instantly turning the test site radioactive. Though no disaster has ever happened, polywell remains on the list of potentially dangerous technologies, capable of unlocking endless clean energy or spiraling into nightmare if control is lost for even a moment. Number 4. VX. Just a few milligrams can kill a person. Did you know a chemical so lethal that just a few grains the size of table salt can kill a human? That's VX, the most infamous nerve agent in history. VX was developed in the 1950s as a pesticide, but the military quickly took interest because of its horrifying power. Just 10 milligrams on the skin is enough to paralyze the nervous system, causing seizures, suffocation, and death within minutes. The scariest part? VX is colorless, odorless, and tasteless, nearly impossible to detect. A single drop on your hand could spread to many people through contact. That's why it's been called the doomsday weapon in a small bottle. Compared to other nerve agents, sarin evaporates fast, deadly on the spot but disperses quickly. Novichok is believed to be even stronger but less understood. VX, however, clings like oil, lasting for days and turning an entire area into a silent killing field. And this one truly feels like it's straight out of science fiction. Number 3. Antimatter, the tiniest particle with the most destructive power. Did you know that producing just 1 gram of antimatter would cost over $60 trillion? It's insanely expensive because scientists must use giant particle accelerators, smashing particles endlessly to collect tiny atoms of antimatter. But the price reflects its terrifying strength. When 1 gram of antimatter meets 1 gram of regular matter, it releases about 90 trillion joules of energy, the same as 42 Hiroshima bombs exploding at once. The only way to store antimatter is inside a magnetic trap, a special bottle of electromagnetic fields that prevents it from touching anything. Just one particle leaking would blow up the whole experiment.
Today, antimatter exists in labs for only a few millionths of a second, far too little to use for anything. But if one day technology allows us to store more, it could become the most compact doomsday weapon ever, small enough to fit in your hand, but powerful enough to level a nation. And maybe this is the craziest one of them all.
Number 2. Project Orion, launching spacecraft with nuclear bombs. Believe it or not, there was once a serious project proposing to launch spaceships using nuclear bombs. That was Project Orion in the 1950s United States. The idea, every time a nuclear bomb exploded beneath the massive ship, the blast would push it higher, repeating hundreds of times until it escaped Earth's gravity. In theory, Orion could take humans to Mars in just a few weeks, faster than today's technology. But picture the reality. Hundreds of nuclear detonations right above Earth's surface. Instead of exploring space, humanity risked turning the planet into a radioactive wasteland. That's why Orion was shelved, where it belongs, a wild dream built on nuclear bombs. And now, the final topic. It proves that nothing can limit the madness of humanity. Number 1. The Large Hadron Collider, fear of a black hole swallowing Earth. Did you know that when the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland was about to start up in 2008, multiple lawsuits were filed in international courts? People feared the experiment might create a tiny black hole and swallow the entire planet. This colossal machine, 17 miles long and buried deep underground, was built to smash protons together at nearly the speed of light. Scientists assured the public that if black holes did form, they'd be microscopic and vanish instantly thanks to quantum effects. But the words if and maybe weren't enough to calm everyone down. When the LHC powered on, the world held its breath, half thrilled, half terrified. And the outcome? No Earth-devouring black hole, but a reminder that human curiosity sometimes pushes to the very edges of what makes the entire planet nervous. And it's pretty crazy. If you made it this far and still haven't subscribed, thank you, because you'll always be a part of us.